Well, here we are again. I am still getting coffee, maybe theoretically. Let's see, what's scheduled for today? So, yesterday, I was listening to the recordings of the scenes that I did, and it really sounds like I'm like sniffing throughout the entire video. I'm trying to figure out what it was that was making that sound, because I was replaying the footage and I'm like, I'm like sniffing like every couple seconds, really loudly, and I'm not quite sure. I think what it was is that I turned up the gain on my microphone, and then every time that I would draw real intensely, like on the screen, the sliding sound of my pen was loud enough that it kind of sounds like a weird sniffing sound. But that's the only thing I can think of, unless I really was like just sniffing really loudly throughout the entire stream. Yeah, I might actually redo yesterday's stream because of it, because I was talking about Perfect Blue and doing a scene analysis on Perfect Blue, which is a movie that I know a bit about because I did a full analysis on it from beginning to end. But with all the sniffing sounds throughout it, it's really kind of awkward to watch. It's really awkward to watch my analysis of it, and then you just hear this little sniff sound. So I might redo that whole stream and just go over those notes again. Man, when doing it, I was like, this is a great one, but maybe not. All right, I'm gonna do my intro. This is Master Shots Volume 2 challenge. This is a challenge I've developed over the years. It is using the book Master Shots Volume 2, which was written by Christopher Kenworthy, as a tool to help you to be able to learn how to storyboard faster and intuitively, so you can be able to write scenes on the fly without a lot of preparation. So what I do is I have a random dice generator, and I select two sections from the book using the dice, and then I try to draw up a scene that uses those two sections from the book at an average of 15 to 20 seconds per drawing. That's under ideal circumstances. And then the idea is to have all that done within a 22.5 minute session, which is also under ideal circumstances. This was yesterday's. There's this character walking to a bus stop, and they get a phone call. Then they leave, and they're trying to find their friend while they're on the phone, and they go down a staircase and see their friend in the reflection of like a store window, and they find them and talk to them, and they have this like conversation about something that I have no idea what it is. I guess the guy accidentally ran over a dog with his bicycle or something like that. It's like at night. A very distraught scene. Okay. Now, moving forward. So, I am going to roll the dice and see. I brought up the wrong dice generator. All right. Okay. So, I just rolled the dice, and I rolled a 7.3 or 73. Colloquially, that's what it's called. 7.3. Finding the lens. Interesting. See, I'm finding all these new sections that I do not remember. So I'm gonna have to read this section before I draw it. Most of these sections, at least in the first half of the book, I know them pretty well, but this one is different. Oh, okay. I know what this is. Well, fortunately, it's a walk and talk. It's a type of walk and talk that, yeah. Yeah, this is a walk and talk scene, and I'm really good at those. Yeah, this is more of a technique. Okay. Yeah. This is a technique to use during tracking shots. So finding the lens is, this is really basic concept. And I've done this all the time in my storyboards, like in any of my tracking shot storyboards. Even yesterday's I used it. So finding the lens is when you have characters walking through an environment, maybe you're shooting from behind them. So here we are. These are characters walking through a crowd and whatnot. And you know, they're walking through it and they're talking to each other. So you know, they're talking back and forth. And technically, if we're being realistic, there really isn't any reason for us to ever see their faces. You know, they can talk this whole time without ever seeing us. Without us ever seeing them. So here's someone who's like walking by. What you can do is, like maybe this person brushes up against this person. And that forces our, we'll say character 1. Here's character 1, here's character 2. This will force character 1 to turn. And so he turns because someone just bumped into him. And character 2 is still walking forwards. Maybe I'll shrink them down a little bit. And so the idea of this is that you are finding reasons to make the characters face the camera. So then that way you can get their emotions and their acting in. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can do it like, as I said, like someone bumps into them. You can have like, I don't know, like an alternative way to do this would be like, I don't know, maybe a drone flies over this person's head because they're at like a festival or something. Sees whoosh, a drone flies overhead. And then that makes the character turn around. Or, I don't know, maybe he sees a cute dog that runs by. And he's like, oh, hey, a dog. See like a little dog runs by. And you see bark, bark. That's a normal looking dog. I was trying to make it run, and now I realize it looks really weird. Yeah, you see a dog runs by, and that allows them to turn around. And so, just the idea of this section of the book is being able to show character acting by using the environment to be able to see their faces and whatnot. Now, to be fair, there are scenes from movies where you are following two characters and they never actually turn towards the camera during the whole thing. And that can also be used for stylistic reasons, or maybe you're building up tension to reveal the characters. So you don't actually want to show them right off the bat. So a good example of this, we're going to open this, is the movie Santa Tango. Or, yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. It has a really, really, really long take of these two hooligans that are walking down the street and they're up to no good. And they're supposed to be like a force of nature. And so what's happening is that there's like wind blowing behind them. There's papers fluttering about. There's obviously someone on a car with a giant fan tracking them. But there's all this wind blowing these papers and debris, and they're going down the road, and they're walking down the road, and it does this for like 3 minutes straight with no dialogue. I don't think it has any dialogue, and so it's just building up tension to who these characters are. Now granted, 3 minutes on one concept is actually one of the shorter elements of that movie. There's a scene that's like 10 minutes long of characters just dancing, and it's about as exciting as I've described it. That movie is like 7 hours and 45 minutes long. I'm just gonna, I don't know, it's not Santa, it's Satan Tango, so Satan Tango, but it's one word. Yeah, I have a lot of feelings about that movie. Some good, some mixed. I think it's one of those movies that if you were to cut even like 20 minutes out of that film, 20 or 30 minutes off, it's like 7 hour and 30 minute runtime. It'd be a significantly better film. Okay, either way, this is not me reviewing that movie. You know, I might actually do an analysis on that movie sometime. I would really like to. But because there are some really good scenes in that movie. There's some really good moments. There's some cool camera techniques. There's a lot of neat stuff going on in it. It's just, it is 7 hours and like 30 minutes long, which is not really worth anyone's time based off of how it's paced. Again, yeah, the movie has a sequence. There's a whole part of the movie that's like an hour long of a guy sitting in a chair, watching his neighbors. And it's like borderline interesting and kind of engaging, but it also isn't. Okay, okay. This is a cool one. Or roughly a cool one. So this is section 6.5. And this is face up. So this actually works really well with what we're talking about, finding the lens and then face up. So these two could combine very, very nicely. So face up is just when you have two characters who are looking up. So you can have them like on a couch. So maybe there's someone on a couch over here. They're like looking up at they're like looking up at the ceiling or something like that, and there's someone on the couch over here. This is the example that's kind of given in the book. And so they're both like looking up at the ceiling or something. Or maybe it's two people in a field. You know, they're looking up at the clouds. You know, there's little cloud shadows on the mountain. Cloud shadow on the... Alright, I need to stop quoting Wolf Parade. But yeah, the idea is that you do this when characters are like dreaming or longingly looking at something, or there's something that they're thinking about. And so what you can do is you can cut between them, or one character's kind of, you know, looking at the clouds, and then maybe the other character on the other end is also looking at the clouds, but maybe also looking at their phone. I don't know. It's just really, this is more of characters looking at the same thing, but in this instance in the book, it is characters looking up at something. You know, maybe what they're looking at is, you know, the ceiling fan. You know, the ceiling fan is very exciting business, and maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Trying to think if there's any other notes that this book has on it. Ah, okay. So yeah, that's kind of right. One of the notes on this scene in the book is that it's good to have an imbalance where one character is more the focus than the other. And I mean that's kind of obvious in all dialogue scenes. So for instance, in the book, the example they use is that for one of the characters, the camera is pushing in on them because they're in on something, while the other character, who doesn't know what's going on emotionally with this other character, the camera does not push in on them. Okay, cool. So this I don't think will be a super difficult scene until I accidentally make it one. Because yeah, finding the lens is very easy and simple. And then face up is exactly how the characters can find the lens. So basically I can just follow two characters walking around as I do in like half of my storyboards here. And then have the characters lie down for some reason. And then that's going to be the reveal of their faces so that you can see their acting. Okay. Yeah, I don't think this will be too bad. Alright, I just need to set up my scene. I need to figure out what the narrative is, though. 'Cause I got no idea what's going on in this. Okay. Actually. Ooh, you know what? Alright. We're gonna do something in the flats again. I like working with those characters. So we're gonna get our sepia tone filter on. Oh man, I'm gonna use this exact same technique that I've used so many times before. Okay. I should probably make a list of techniques that I overuse in my storyboards. Because there's a long list of techniques that I use very, very frequently. Ooh, that looks cool, honestly. I don't need that, but... Huh. Alright. Sorry, I'm setting everything up a little bit more than usual. All right. I'm just briefly mentally thinking through this scene. You know, doing these challenges. All right, this is me coping or prevaricating. Doing these challenges was a lot easier when it used to just be one section. Because that's how this originally started. This originally started as just do one section. Now it's pretty easy. But when it's two sections, that's when I'm like actually having to think like, okay. Like, you have to think a lot more beforehand as to how things could go. Or the flow of the shot. Alright. Well, I'm going to have some atmospheric sound effects playing in the background here for me, because man, I can't find any. Oh well. I was trying to find like a interior of like a factory sound effect. Because I know I'm going to do a factory scene. Yeah, I'm gonna get a, you know, Industrial Revolution ASMR. As soon as these YouTube ads, like, disappear. Okay. This is literally one of the worst audio recordings I've ever heard. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna do it without the sound effects. Let's see. If I could find my cursor. And let's see. So let's see. We can have factory pipes and stuff. You know, it's a lot of things going on in here. Moving parts and pieces. Big gears. Shenanigans. Yeah, we're literally kind of doing the same thing that we did yesterday with this sequence. We're character pops in from the side. Managing both of these at the same time is unrealistic. They're slinging something over their shoulder. Let's see. Alright, now I'm just going to go into roughing out the background. Because their acting is more important. Not me getting this, hold on, I'm going to get the camera a little closer to them. Now they're going to start turning back. I should have someone down the hallway. It's like, hey, hurry up. Yeah, so. Okay, yeah, that's definitely what should happen. Is that there should be someone who comes out from like behind these pipes. These pipes and things. That then motivates this turn. Oops, wrong layer. So this character is gonna wrong layer again. And I'm gonna go on my rant about as per usual, a Storyboard Pro switching layers on me. Sorry, this might be a little abstract here. As to what kind of camera move I did. Our character is sneaking behind some pipes here that are in the foreground. So they're following someone. Actually, I don't want this shot yet. I want us, the camera, to follow them into the shadows. Sorry, this can be a long tracking shot, as per usual. Maybe she ducks under a pipe or something like that. There's the pipe in the foreground. There's her looking back. There's her friend up ahead, like climbing up something. Also, I should note that they are both kind of talking during this sequence. Again, what's the dialogue? Who knows? It's like climbing up some pipes or something. Something's trying to get to up there. Sorry, I'm gonna have to explain a lot of this because I'm being pretty quiet because most of this isn't dialogue heavy. Most of this is very action heavy. And so that makes this probably a little more confusing on my stream as to what's going on. See, she just clambered up onto this pipe here and is hoisting herself up. Basically, she's following her friend here, this little kid. He's climbing up, and then probably should have given her a little beat where maybe she looks towards the camera a little bit. This, I keep on saying this every time. This is starting to feel more and more like one of those tracking shots from a video game. Where you're like climbing up something and you're following a character. Yeah, I actually don't like how the scene's going. I mean, it's neat for the technique, but like, there's the other kid's already at the top. His feet are dangling or something. Maybe there's like some kind of ladder or something she's climbing. And his feet are in the air. Want to be able to see him at the same time. As we see her. So as they're talking. You can see his face and her face at the same time. Oh, I mean, I guess we can't really see her face. We can see his face. gonna have her wipe the front of the screen as she climbs up. Just so that we can hide this little camera move I'm doing. Yep. Actually, no, she should go in the other direction. Then roll this way. And she's gonna get up. Man, this is, yeah, sorry, this is a scene that's not gonna have a lot of talking, or from my end. I'm gonna pause my timer for a second. I might redo this shot tomorrow in a way that's, let's see. I don't know how to describe it. In a way that's a bit more like in thumbnails or something like that, because I actually wanted this. The problem is because I'm drawing so many panels in here, I'm trying to meet the time requirement of 90, getting in like 22.5 minutes. What's happening is I'm cutting out certain beats because I originally wanted them to wind down multiple hallways where they're gonna like right to left, left to right, right to left, left to right, then climb. And so I cut that because of this, because of how many drawings are in here. So I think that is a pretty good argument for why it is better to do thumbnails than full panels like this, because it is much easier to over animate. And get this low angle shot. Then the kid calls her from off screen. It's like, hey, you're about to miss it. The thing that they're trying to get to. Ooh, what could it be that he's trying to get her to see. Some sort of light source. She's gonna go around this corner, which I said I would set up earlier. Now we're actually gonna cut. Be like what does she see? She sees something. What is it? We're gonna cut to like a POV. And there's the kid she's following. He's got his hands on his hips. He's pretty cool, right? And we don't know what he's looking at. We know he's looking off at something to the left. And so, let's see, we should make some little foreground elements here. So we can tell that she is in a smaller room. And that there's like scaffolding up here, or a catwalk or something. So we can tell that there is a bigger room, that maybe there's light coming from Alright, we're getting fancy here, but yeah, there's some kind of light source. I should have drawn that on another layer. I drew that all on the same layer. Silly me. Okay. Some kind of light source in that room. So what's going to happen is, all right, well, my timer ran out, but I'm still going to finish the sequence. I will take a short break. Yeah, I'm going to say it. I think my my drawing speed has decreased over time. But I think it's also because I'm doing things that are a little more complex. Alrighty. Okay, I'm going to continue. Alright, resetting my timer. Alright, go. Okay. So we're going to have this type of shot. This is a kind of scene that I've actually done on multiple occasions over the years. The character in the shadows who sees something off screen and is like called towards something, you know, it's a calling, you know, they're drawn like a moth to whatever it is that they're hearing or seeing or something like that. You can do this nice glide where hold up, we are missing a panel. Yeah, this one somehow got moved. I have no idea how. So in this scene, see the camera's just gonna slowly truck forward. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do something very nifty. Is we're gonna have some of those rays of light that are here coming through. We're gonna have something. Oops, it is on the wrong layer. Whatever. Of course. I was just talking about this. We're gonna have rays of light here that are gonna catch like the camera lens, so that yeah, it'll create a little flash on the screen, and then we can use that as a transition into the next shot. See, we're gonna make a flash or something that goes across right here. Yeah. And then this would be for just like for 2 frames. You'll see that little flash. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that flash. It would transition here to the opposite side of the screen. Then it is going to be here and fainter. So this is going to be difficult to light this because I have a filter over everything. By the way, she's walking forward very slowly. stop drawing some of her details because it's taking too much time. And she's gonna start to glance up a little bit at the light source. And then what we're gonna do is we're then gonna cut to her POV. And then we're gonna see that there's something through the pipes. It's like a light source here. So there's something that she's getting closer to. It's a light and it's blocked by this. This heavenly light source or whatever it is. It's something big. Whatever's back there. And then what we'll do is we're going to cut to behind the pipes. So we are kind of from, we're now from the angle of the light source. And I'm going to make this so you can see the shadows. They're going across the room. And so she is here. And what the camera is going to do is it's going to pull back. And as she steps out into the light. So we're going to see her here. We're going to see the, so she's walking this way. And there's something that she can't see. Or she can see, but we can't see. I'm going to see the other kid. He's smiling. He's standing there. I'm gonna shrink the brush. I actually, I really want this to still be a little bit tilted. And I really want, yeah, I still want this to be angled slightly. Because what I want is for there to be a screen direction change. Because I want it to be that this whole time she's going like left to right. So you see it's technically on screen left. So when she comes over here, I want it to feel like you know what? Nah, that's weird. Alright, I'll be quiet. It's not a good idea. I thought it would be, but it is not. So they shrink back in size for whatever the heck is in this room that's really big and really bright. Is it a machine? Who knows? then what happens next? Let's see. Maybe it's just like a window. Like, that's it. Maybe these people live in the factory so much, you know. It's literally just like being able to see daylight or something. I don't know, that sounds kind of corny, but I'm gonna go with it. It's like a circular window. And maybe it's the only glass window that they have in like this entire structure, because everything's been broken from the machinery shattering for shaking for hundreds of years or something like that. I don't know. Trying to figure out some more reasons for this. You know, maybe it's just like, oh, this is the last of the pure glass windows. You know, I found one. There's one of them still alive. It's a circular window. It's a porthole window. Hmm. Alright. I kind of know how this should go. I'm actually boarding this in reverse. Because I knew where I wanted this shot to end, but I'm figuring out where it begins. There's this kid with frizzy hair. I think that's the last of the circular porthole windows. It's like they don't make them like that anymore. And then she sits down. Because, if you recall, this scene has to have two characters facing up towards something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this technique that is weird. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that you actually can't see where they're sitting. We'll see if this works. You can sometimes do this. If you really want something to feel big, what you can do is you can have characters, you can cut off their feet. If that makes sense. Like, it feels awkward. But it can create a neat sense of scale. So here, I'll show it. If the light's like really bright, yeah, you don't actually necessarily need to show people's feet. I'm trying to think. There's a. I need to find a list of examples of where that's done, but it's a weird technique. It's kind of a more stylized technique that I think has been used as of late more in like anime and like arcane and stuff like that. Because normally there's kind of a rule of like cutoff points on like where you're supposed to cut off a character's like feet or hands or anything like that. So it feels weird if you cut off a composition on a joint. But sometimes you can just intentionally cut off the very bottom of these characters. I guess you kind of need to do it for a higher angle shot like this anyways. Maybe this porthole window means a lot to this character. Maybe when she was a kid, she also saw this porthole window. Or her mom showed her one, or something like that. And so this is like a religious experience or something like that to see this thing again. It's like, oh, I thought those were all gone. And for this character, for the kid that she's following, I think we're gonna always view him from the side. So for her, she's always gonna be face up because we're paying more attention to her emotions. And then for him, because this is less of an emotional experience for him, we're gonna always shoot him from the side. I guess this scene is mostly about her emotions. a little camera push here. Let me push into the light. Just a little bit. Then maybe we push into her expression. The problem is that I draw characters' eye lines really high on their head. You know what we should do? We should have a little... we're gonna do a fade to white. Okay, this is kind of corny. Oops, wrong layer. We're gonna do a flashback sequence. Let's see. I'm gonna keyframe it at 0. And then 100% keyframe. I said 100% keyframe. Thank you. Oh my goodness, now we can do a flashback to another time. Oh my goodness, we can do 2 sequences in one day. Right. Okay. I think this. Ooh, man, you know what? Sorry. Okay. This is an interesting enough sequence. That... Dang it. Oh, man. I kind of want to continue this one tomorrow. Dang. This is actually kind of something I want to continue tomorrow. Because this is getting into some really interesting territory. Because now it's like, okay, we're getting into flashback territory. And so then, like, see, now I'm thinking, like, well, wait a minute. We're getting into a flashback. It's like, what's this character's background? Like, what's she thinking about? It's like this whole episode hinges on this one moment. If this was an episode from a TV show. Okay, cool. I kind of have to continue this one tomorrow. Man. Alright, well, I gotta go, unfortunately. I got stuff to do. So either way, thank you for watching. I guess, you know what? I should flip through the scene first. We're supposed to do finding the lens, which is when a character looks back at the camera, using it so that you can see some of their acting during a long tracking shot that's behind a character. And face up, which is basically two characters looking at the same thing. So here's a character going through the inner machinations of an industrial factory, and her friend is like, hey, come on, catch up. It's like, hey, you gotta climb up here, I need to show you something. It's really cool. She's like, hey. She should look more not excited. Because if she's too happy, then the flashback and emotions will be a little confusing. And then she's like, why you taking me back here? He's like, come on. You'll love this. Okay, yeah, she should be a little bit more irritated. So then that way there's more of a contrast. And she should also be looking screen left in this shot, like she's looking over her shoulder. So then that way, as she rounds this corner, it kind of matches up. Hey, the flash worked. See, I told you that flash would work. I'm just gonna fill these in. Let's see. This actually reminds me, I did a sequence like this for a really complicated storyboard action sequence I did years ago, and I never showed it to anyone. And this is accidentally kind of a recreation of that exact same scene. And now I'm feeling bad that I never showed anyone it. I will... maybe post it someday. Yeah, no, this is actually pretty similar to a sequence I did a while back. For a personal project, and then I just never went forward with it because I got distracted and it was so complicated in terms of the action and choreography and everything. It was about a kid who was like his family was on a planet a new planet because their old planet had just gotten destroyed. And so he's essentially going through some ancient artifacts and ruins, trying to collect like a special relic that his uncle's trying to get him to get. It's like an ancient alien relic. And so when he like sees it, he gets this like experience where it's like, ooh, what is this relic thingy? And it's in the other storyboard. Oh, hey, your story teacher's here. Oh man. Well, unfortunately, I'm almost finished with the sequence, but yeah. Have you been here the whole time, or did you just pop in? Because I was going on a tangent about a storyboard I did a while ago. About a kid who finds an alien artifact. But yeah, no, he finds an alien artifact, and like he's supposed to steal it from like this ancient alien temple, and then he has this moment where he realizes that he's like about to commit like an original sin or something like that in this alien culture. By the way, that's not what this sequence is. That's what another sequence is. Oh, you just popped in? Okay. Well, I'll show you what I got done today. So today was yeah, the idea was to do Finding the Lens from Master Shots Volume 2 and Face Up. Oh, yeah. You can ask a quick question. No worries. I'll get the summary of this scene done eventually. Yeah, what's the question? I'm all ears. Oh man, what's the question? I'm really curious. You know, I'll just add lighting in this scene until the question gets asked. See, I'm sitting here in anticipation. Are you gonna ask the question? I'm sitting here. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. All right. Well, I'm just gonna type it out in the chat. Yeah, I'll just add lighting to this. No, I still don't know how to do the thing on Twitch where like it shows comments or whatever the heck in the lower right hand corner. Oh, you forgot the question. All this anticipation and build up. Oh man. That's unfortunate. Oh, eye leading. So like eye tracking. Okay. So okay. Eye tracking really isn't that complicated once you understand it well enough. Okay, sorry, that sounded pretentious. Yeah, eye tracking. Do you just want to know about like basic rules of eye tracking? Okay, you're saying your cuts feel awkward. Like it doesn't feel right. So for instance, let's see. Like right here. But actually not right here. So for instance, here in one of my scenes. Okay, so for instance, let's look at this sequence here. So she's going left to right, and then what happens is I have her pause for a moment here. Hold on, I need to switch brush. And then that leaves room so we can see this kid, so that our eye can always bounce back and forth between these two characters. And then when she gets up here, she looks to screen right. So I know that the audience's eye is going to briefly look over here in this direction. But then I also know I'm leaving this negative space here so that the audience is already anticipating which direction their eye is going to move. And so then, even though she looks over here to screen right, because there's so little space, I know the audience's eyes, you know, your like muscles, your muscle memory is already going like, all right, something's probably going to happen over here. And then what happens is the kid talks over here. So then your eye goes over here. And so I was already building that up. So for when she turns, that you're going to want to look over here. And so then here, with eye tracking, kind of, if you see, I have her cutting. So right here, she crosses this line here. And granted, I don't have the line lined up exactly, because I don't want a camera move. But her face is filling up, if I go here, the exact same portion of the screen. So if you see here, her face is centered, and then here, her face is centered. So between these two cuts, it's pretty seamless because the same action is happening in two different shots in the same part of the screen. See, see, it's like a seamless cut because it's the same action from two different shots happening in the exact same part of the screen. If that makes sense. And so then, let's see, let's go look at other storyboards. Yeah, feel free to ask more questions about eye tracking, because that's an area that I care a lot about. It's like figuring out where to lead the eye and how to make it go in a direction that you want it to go. So for instance, like what? There's this sequence from a while ago where there's like this AI companion on this TV screen that's like following this guy and showing the news and stuff like that. And this AI character, so he's like, hey, you don't want to go in there. There's all this dangerous stuff. It's gonna happen. You could die. And so he points towards the screen. And because of this action, that's motivating the camera to pull back because he's pushing. And so then the camera moves right to left based off of that action. So that causes the momentum and for our eye to then go over to far screen left, because now this guy's going to start talking. So now this robot character over here is talking. And then I know these are very rough, but like there's these flying police cars here that are going in this direction behind him. And so then that's going to motivate, see the flying police cars are going this way. This is going to motivate the camera to go back to screen right. So then we can go see this AI companion character who's showing up on the TV screens. And so you can use background elements to lead the eye. Mobile background elements, if that makes sense. Now these are for tracking shots. Are you asking more for shots that like are when you're cutting? Because for tracking shots, it's a little bit different how you use eye tracking versus how you do it for like cutting between two different shots. I'd say just a very basic rule is that if you're having like let's say we have a character here, maybe he's looking off to he's looking off in this direction. If I want him to look over to screen left, like let's say I'm gonna have his he looks over far to screen left, he's like like he's looking that way, so he's turned. It's like, where should the primary action be in the next shot? So you see he's looking over this way, and so ideally, because he's stopping here, an easy way to say is just have an action that's going to happen here. So he looks that way, and then if we wanted to cut, we could just very easily cut to him looking here. Like maybe he's on a bench or something. He's like waiting for the bus. Actually, this doesn't look as good as I thought it would. Yeah, actually, this doesn't work how I thought it would. Because now I realize it's funnier to have him way out here. Because it's funnier to have him go, Because then... Oh, okay. No, this makes sense. Okay, I see why. If I were to go, like, have him look this way... And then, sorry, there's kind of a logic to it, but there's also kind of a trial and error element, if that makes sense. Trying to see, he looks this way, and then this leads us to all this negative space. See, I was giving an example, and now I'm realizing I'm giving a bad example. That's how this works. Everything goes smoothly until I actually am put on the spot to show. Whatever. Hopefully you're getting the idea of how this works. Maybe there's a, I don't know, there's a cat here or something. Let's see, I'm gonna mess around with this. Maybe there's a really tall person with an umbrella or something. It's like My Neighbor Totoro. Of course, it changed the camera on both. Okay. All right, this kind of works. So, all right, he's looking this way. All right, this kind of works now. He's looking this way. He then looks this way. All right. So our eye is now looking in this section of the screen, correct? He's looking that way, so we're looking that way. You also notice that he's filling up this space. So essentially we have this outer edge of him, and we have this edge of where we're looking. And then in this shot, we're following up with that. So you see this, it mirrors. if that makes sense. Now, okay, now I'm starting to talk about positive shapes and negative shapes. So you see, this is the positive space here. And now the positive space becomes the negative space in this shot. So this is more about filling screen space. But yeah, either way, your eye is mostly looking here. Okay, so that's kind of an eye tracking between cuts, where it's like he's looking that way, looks that way. You know that you're already going to be looking here, because that's where he was looking. So basically, you're just guiding the audience as to where you want them to look. Here, maybe this might be a stupid little thing. Technically, you could probably do something like this, where let's say you have a ball, and we're gonna smear it over to here, and then it's gonna bounce down, and it's gonna go around. And then maybe it'll come towards the camera. And it disappears. So like you see that we are tracking this sphere, right? This circle. So like your eye is following it. You know exactly where it's going. Because you know your eyes led to that. So it's the same kind of concept that between multiple shots you can actually you know what, let's try this. This might be a cool technique. Okay, let's say we have a car drive. Okay, let's say it's a, what could be doing this? Okay, how about let's say we have a little gross centipede creature. All right, here's a little gross centipede. He's got hundreds of little legs because he's a centipede. So it's a low angle shot, okay? And then what we're gonna have is he's gonna climb up this wall, okay? This little, like we're seeing the underside of the centipede. So, and here's the ceiling behind him. And he's running up this wall. See, here's the centipede. He's like, yeah, he's running up this wall. Here's this high wall. Maybe there's, maybe he's running down the ceiling. Who knows? He's running down something, and he's running towards something. Okay. I'm gonna change the grid to it. We can technically, if we want, our eyes looking here, we could technically continue this motion now from the reverse angle of him descending down the wall, or ascending the wall, or I don't know which. See? And he's gonna like wipe the screen because he's going down the wall so fast. Now maybe this circle doesn't match anymore. The action of the centipede. Ooh, you know what? Actually, what I could do is I could make one of his claws match the shape of that arc. And then I'm going to cut to another character. Maybe this is a character who's jumping backwards. Here's like a sword fighter or something like that. Because the centipede's about to crash down and chomp him. And so this character jumps back. Because centipede just, you know, scary centipede monster. And then we're gonna have this here. So here's our sword fighter character. Maybe it's Marth or something like that. And then he's gonna roll. Maybe. So he's gonna do like a side roll. Maybe towards the camera. Sorry, this is kind of abstract. And then the camera is going to swoop down under him. See, I'm doing this all with camera moves, so hopefully this makes sense. So he's now on the ground like this. And maybe his knees here. So and then he's gonna jump up. And there's the centipede monster, because now we can see it again. Okay, so do you see how we actually, in this sequence, we actually cut between multiple shots? And we used eye tracking as the basis for all the actions that occurred. So remember, there's a red sphere here, and it's going this way. And then I use the legs. So the legs from the centipede. Even though the centipede is going that way, I'm making sure that a single leg goes up like this, or two of these legs create this arc. So you see how there's this arc that's going up that way? And so then that matches the arc of a character who's jumping backwards. See? And then he's landing over here. So what I've done is I've cut between two shots and two different characters. But the eye tracking matches. Like, it just lines up. So that even though it's two different characters, it's two different shots, your eye is still doing the exact same motion. Like, your eye is still following exactly where it should be. Does that make sense? Yeah. You can try and do this exercise on your own. Just like draw a red sphere, make it fly around or something like that, and then just break in different cuts and make it go from different characters. And I think, yeah, once you understand that, like, that's how it works, it's not too difficult. This is definitely more important for action scenes. Now, granted, you can break this rule, because it isn't really a rule, it's more of like a technique. You can break this rule sometimes when you're trying to be like really surprising or startling. Perfect Blue, for example, it kind of does stuff like this where, I guess not exactly, but it does certain jump scares, not exactly jump scares, but like jump moments where your eye is looking in one way and something else happens in the other direction. You know, horror movies, they do this all the time. Horror movies, you might have a character who's like looking over here, you know, they're looking off in this direction, and then, you know, spooky scary monster shows up over here. Blah. You know, like that's a kind of a eye tracking thing where it's like the movie expects you to look over here, and it's like, oh, but scary monsters over here, and so that makes your eye go from here to there. So that's, hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. Well, I gotta go, unfortunately, but yeah, thank you for dropping by. Yeah. Hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya. As soon as I actually click the stop record button or stop streaming.